Bunny, and I'm going to be talking about self-diagnosing mental illnesses and my personal opinions about it. And it's something I've been on the fence of for a while now. I like to see things in both viewpoints, and one of the things that I can understand is that healthcare and therapy in other countries, even the United States, is a luxury that not everybody can have. And for example, if you have anxiety, you might be too anxious to see a therapist, or you're very young and you still live with your family, or even if you're not very young, you have cultural or family beliefs about mental illness that aren't very helpful or very accurate. And I understand a lot of factors play into not getting a proper diagnosis as well. And I hear arguments like we self-diagnose physical things all the time, and I would say that a lot of people don't self-diagnose themselves very accurately, even physical diagnosis, because I remember when my teacher had lower back problems and she just thought she might have mild scoliosis or something to do with her posture. It turned out to be a bladder infection, and she woke up with tremendous amounts of pain. And a lot of people, they go on WebMD and they think they have cancer just because they have a headache or something like that. So my point is, people are very unreliable. I understand a lot of people like to have a label, so they Google certain things about what they experience, and then like, yeah, I'm that, I'm borderline, or I have anxiety or something like that. And for me, I'm not very comfortable with labels, because I feel like people have the tendency, when they see the illness and then they see the symptoms that they fit into, but then they see like the one or two or three that they don't, and then they start acting them out so they can fit in with like the autistic crowd. People are weird like that. Also, I don't really like how people use their mental illness as a shield for their assholiness. What do I mean by that? This happens to people who are diagnosed by doctors as well, but I've seen things on the internet like, oh, I'm a self-diagnosed borderline personality disorder person, so you better not mess with me or else you'll be 6 feet under the ground, or I'm bipolar so I can sleep with as many people as I want and you can't stop me and you can't tell me it's wrong because I'm bipolar. And it's just like, shut the fuck up, bitch. If you commit a crime, then you should be punished for it. I know, I'm not a lawyer, I know there are certain factors that come into play with sentencing, like if you were sleepwalking and you raped somebody, then there are definitely factors that will prevent you from getting a harsher sentence and things like that. But a crime is a crime, and if you act like an asshole, you act like an asshole. I mean, it's a different thing if you have dissociative identity disorder, which is very rare.
Snack.
So rare, in fact, that a lot of therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists have never seen it in their lives. So what is up with all these people on social media and Tumblrs talking about headmates and talking about how they have alters? And yes, people do disassociate from themselves to a degree, but dissociative identity disorder is a very different thing. And I don't really have a problem if you go to groups online, people who experience things that you also experience, like an anxiety group or a depression group, in a way that can be therapeutic, to talk to people who've experienced the same thing as you do. The pro-ana groups, though, or like those inspiration groups, stay away. Like, you have to ask yourself, is this helpful for me? Is this going to help me? Or is this just going to make me worse? Journaling is pretty good, and look up shadow work on YouTube. But there is a handful of people out there who know shadow work very well, and it's basically embracing the parts of you that are not lovable or acceptable to society, so that might be interesting. But do, if you can, consider treatment, especially if you are suicidal or violent towards others before something horrible happens. And I want to stress that there is a difference between feeling that there is something wrong with how you perceive the world and there's something wrong with your emotions, and deciding to pigeonhole yourself. And I know that psychiatrists tend to not always give the right diagnosis to somebody, and how much more a person just doing Google search and who hasn't spent years in school and has been training for this specific thing. Don't get into drugs, please, because I notice like people who have mental illnesses try to self-medicate themselves with drugs, and I know people can get addicted to prescription drugs of mental illnesses as well, but just be careful with a lot of recreational drugs and all those other things as well. So that is my stance on self-diagnosing of mental illnesses. Please let me know your opinions. And as for me, I was, I guess, in denial for a long time because I didn't want to be crazy, but then I had an episode where I tore up my textbook in class, ate a page, laughed maniacally, and fell into the floor, and I couldn't move, and that was sort of the breaking point. And I've had a few episodes since then, and that might be another video. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, check out my other videos, check out the links in the doobly-doo. Thank you so much. Bye!